Hi all, we are going to another lecture in Learn with Liz where we are focusing on to scientific misconduct. This is a very important section in research and publication ethics. We want to dig into actually what is scientific misconduct, which are the various types of misconducts that are common, etc. So scientific misconduct, basically in simple terms, we can say your conduct is not right. Scientific, you are doing some kind of misconduct, some kind of wrong things while you are doing research, reporting the results, bringing forth the conclusions, etc. The first and the important one in scientific misconduct is falsification. So there is an Office of Research Integrity that defines falsification as manipulating the research materials, equipment or processes or changing or omitting data or results such that research is not accurately represented in the research books in order to support claims, hypotheses or other data. So you are manipulating the research materials, equipment, processes or changing or omitting data. It can include the manipulation of research instrumentation, materials or processes, manipulation of images or representations in a manner that distorts the data also falls under falsification. Okay. So falsification is basically a kind of manipulation. It can be of research materials, equipments, processes, changing or omitting data or results or anything. Okay. So that you get the research results and the research is not accurately represented in the research record. Falsification means that existing data is pruned. That is, it is what you are doing in pruning, we'll see. It is pruned to take on the required form or massaged to give the desired result. So it is cutting the data, or you're trying to see in pruning can be done how it can be do using inappropriate methods of data analysis, or you're doing some kind of exclusion of outliers in data analysis, or unpermitted manipulation of graphics with software like Photoshop, etc. You're doing some kind of unpermitted manipulations, etc. So using that you are trying to take it into the required form, take the results to the required form, massage to give the desired result. This is what you do. That is what is happening in falsification. So you are manipulating the results, you are manipulating the research results, materials, equipments or processes, or changing or omitting data so that the research is not accurately represented in the research records. Okay. Then this is just a cartoon on what are the other words for falsification. It can be called misrepresentation, falsehood, forgery, fabrication, distortion, lie, untruth, fib, deception, invention. Okay. Then we move to fabrication, which is a second scientific misconduct. Fabrication, again, Office of Research Integrity defines fabrication as making up of data or results and recording or reporting them. So here what you are doing is you are trying to make up data, create data or results, and then you are trying to report them. So unlike image duplication or textual similarities, data fabrication is very difficult to detect. Just by looking into a published paper, you cannot find whether the data is fabricated or not. How you can find that is only through the whistleblowers. The whistleblowers actually help you to find whether there is fabrication or not. So who will be these whistleblowers? Basically those people who are working closely with the researcher and suspect that the data is made up. So such whistleblowers actually help to find whether the data is made up or not. Sometimes data fabrication can be detected even through careful statistical analysis. It's like cooking up of the data, so you can actually use certain statistical analysis to actually find out whether the data is made up or not. Maybe they collect only 50 cases or responses for a particular questionnaire, but they didn't report that 200 are collected. Now using certain statistical analysis might be able to just detect that it's just 50 data which is like multiplied into 200. Many cases of falsification could be interpreted as fabrication as well. So that's why the pigeon said that fabrication, another word is falsification, falsification, another word is fabrication. We move to the next slide. Here you have the Center of Data Fabrication, Center for Data Fabrication. Here the scientist is actually cooking up all these results. Data do not make any sense. You will have to resort to some kind of statistics. Okay. So all these ways fabrication is being done. Then we move to plagiarism. Plagiarism is like what you can say, the third misconduct, the most common one, the easiest misconduct, and therefore is the widest one. Okay, according to Merriam-Webster Online Dictionary, plagiarism means to steal and pass off the ideas or words of another as one's own. So you're using up somebody else's idea, using another's production without crediting the source. So two things you can do: you're taking up somebody else's ideas or somebody else's words and putting that as yours, or you can use somebody else's creation, somebody else's words, work, but you are not crediting that particular source. You are not mentioning from where you have taken that. You are not telling that you are taking that from this person's, this is this person's idea or this is this person's contribution. You are not mentioning that. And then you are telling that it is yours. That is called plagiarism. Latin, it is derived from the Latin word plagium, which means kidnapping. Here you have a beautiful definition of plagiarism from this person. Plagiarism is such an ugly word. So he prefers to say it's a credit-free, externally harvested concept redistribution. That's exactly what is plagiarism. Okay, so this is what you do in plagiarism. You basically, it's Control C plus Control V that you do. You take out ideas of people. You remain a person who is like stealing of ideas. You are remaining a thief. You are violating the copyrights. Okay, so keep out all this is what the person is telling you. Let's go to the definition of plagiarism. Plagiarism is presenting someone else's works or ideas as your own without their consent by incorporating it into your work without full acknowledgement. You are not giving a mention to that person's work or ideas as your own without their consent. All published and unpublished material, whether in manuscript, printed or electronic form, is covered under this definition. So UGC defines plagiarism as an act of academic dishonesty and breach of ethics. It involves using someone else's works as your own. It also includes data plagiarism and self-plagiarism. So it's an academic dishonesty and breach of ethics that you are using somebody else's work as your own without crediting that particular source. It also includes data plagiarism and self-plagiarism. We'll see all this in detail. Now in this cartoon, the boy is telling, instead of writing my history paper, I had that nerdy smart kid write it for me. Oh, Chuck, that's called cheating. So he says, no, it's not cheating. I call that as outsourcing. So you can give such kind of beautiful names to whatever kind of unethical things that you're doing. Okay. Then comes types of plagiarism. These are also important. Plagiarism can be intentional, that is, you are trying to copy a friend's work, buying or borrowing papers, cutting and pasting blocks of text from electronic, media borrowing, web publishing without permission of creators. All these you can do. That is, intentionally you are doing this plagiarism. Second comes unintentional plagiarism. That is, you are doing careless paraphrasing. You are not properly documenting things. You are quoting excessively, fails to use your voice when you are doing. So that is unintentional plagiarism. Or there can be plagiarism where you are not giving proper citations. There can be mere coincidence. So these are the different types of plagiarism. Also, we'll go into further details on to what are the different types of plagiarism. Again, plagiarism can be classified as grand larceny plagiarism. What's grand larceny plagiarism? As a name suggests, it's grand. You're outrightly copying the entire text. Like this test, this slide, you're copying it from somewhere, putting it here, that becomes grand larceny plagiarism. Then comes petty larceny plagiarism. So it's petty, which means you're using the ideas, but you're not copying the entire text, but you fail to give citation to that particular source. So again, it is plagiarism. Petty larceny plagiarism would be more common than grand larceny plagiarism because nobody wants to be caught up so fast. Okay, so we move to the plagiarism of secondary sources. What do you do in this? Here, what does the author do? The author is citing references, but it is from secondary sources. He has not read the original source. He does not bother to read the primary source. But what he do is he cite references from secondary sources. Say, for example, you're reading a material, journal article, and then from its bibliography or from its references, you're quoting those references, putting it into your paper. You're not reading those primary sources. Okay, this is what exactly, that is what is plagiarism of secondary sources. Then comes plagiarism of ideas. We have seen in the prior pictures that you're taking up the idea of another person. So your idea of another is borrowed, but the wordings and format of presentation are changed. Then comes word for word plagiarism. What do you do in here? exact copying of phrases from a previously published work without citation. So exactly you are copying those phrases from a previously published work but without citation. Okay, so that is word for word plagiarism. Paraphrasing plagiarism. In paraphrasing plagiarism, what you do is some words are changed but not sufficiently enough. You are doing exactly what you're taking some words from there, you're altering those words. Maybe if it is for sufficient, you're converting that into enough. For good, you are taking it as best. Something like that. Some words are changed but not sufficiently enough, so it's easy to detect that there is some element of plagiarism. So what you can do in paraphrasing is paraphrasing is basically one of the methods in which you can avoid plagiarism. If you paraphrase properly and you refer the sources and give full citation, it will not amount to plagiarism. So one way in which you can avoid plagiarism is exactly paraphrasing it with full citation. But if you fail to cite it, then that becomes paraphrasing plagiarism. So these are the different types: grand larceny, petty larceny, plagiarism of secondary sources, plagiarism of ideas, word for word plagiarism, and paraphrasing plagiarism. Okay, so this is plagiarism of ideas. Okay, what do you mean all my facts are wrong? I copied everything straight off the internet, which is nothing but grand larceny plagiarism. So, and when regarding paraphrasing, they say you do paraphrase, you can do it, quote properly and cite properly. Okay, comes to self-plagiarism and cyber-plagiarism. We said in the UGC definition also that plagiarism involves idea plagiarism, which we have already discussed. Then comes self-plagiarism. What do you do in self-plagiarism? What you're doing as an author is you're using portions of your own previous writings on the same topic in another of your publication. You are using your own work and putting it into another journal, putting it into another publication without specifically citing it formally in quotes. You're not telling that in your work number A, you have used the same thing, but you're using that in work B without citing the same. So there is widespread practice. It's a widespread practice. It is unintentionally done. It violates a copyright assigned to the publisher. There is no consensus as to whether it exactly is a misconduct or not. Okay. See, this kid is telling that, oh no, I forgot to do my science fair project and it's due tomorrow. So what will I do? I could just reuse last year's. This is normally being done in many of our institutions also. We can see that this is being done. But this is a kind of, since a kid is using his own work, it's self-plagiarism. And is not going to tell that this is the same thing that I have done previously. No, never. Then comes cyber plagiarism. What you do in cyber plagiarism? You're copying ideas, text, materials from the web without proper accreditation. Digital plagiarism or cyber plagiarism is a term which is used to describe copying using computers. Exactly as in the previous example, I copied everything out of the internet. That is another way of cyber plagiarism. See here, plagiarism happens 79.7% of students at Fresco State admitting plagiarism. Just cyber plagiarism. He's copying exactly from the internet the exact sources. I did not realize the extent to which plagiarism includes. I have plagiarized but not knowingly. I'm glad to have been in this workshop, the student says. Okay. So every one of us do this, but it's very important that we identify that we are not doing or we are doing plagiarism and taking measures to avoid plagiarism. The easiest way for that is actually doing paraphrasing with proper citation or start writing that in your own words. Now, examples of plagiarism. You're turning in somebody else's work as your own. You're copying words or ideas from someone else without giving credit. You're failing to put a quotation in the quotation marks. You are giving incorrect information about the source. You're citing a source, but the source itself is incorrect. That is again plagiarism. You're changing words but copying the sentence structure of a source without giving credit. That means same like I said before, you're using for before instead of past, after, later, like that you're changing the words, but even the sentence remains to be the same. Just these few words are changed so that you will not be easily detected. This is what you're doing, and you're not giving credit to those sentences also. Copying so many words or ideas from a source that it makes up the majority of your work, whether you give credit or not. So what you do is you're trying to copy majority from somewhere else, okay, and you're not giving credit also, and this your work exactly 50 to 70 75% is somebody else's work. that becomes again plagiarism. Now, why do people plagiarize? That is another interesting question. Because there is fear of failure, lack of interest, laziness, lack of printed sources, unhealthy competition, lack of awareness, poor research skills, career advancement pressure, desire for recognition, and there is overconfidence. So they are born idols. Okay, success scares them. They want to attain fame. They are snowed under. They get panic stricken. They don't fuss about sources and they copy what has been said before. Okay, so these are the easiest way in which you can remember this course is basically because people are not having necessary skills. They need some kind of academic upgradations. They are lazy. So all this results into plagiarism. Okay. Now comes the benefits. The benefits of benefits if you're not doing plagiarism or avoiding plagiarism. Okay. Why plagiarism is protected? It is to ensure there is honest behavior from the public, the author. Second is to promote original creations because only when you have the fear that you will be detected in case you're stealing, you start thinking. So promote original creations. Third, you need to contribute to research and you to maintain your quality. See the author or the researcher is there. You have the angel on one side, the Satan on the other side. Don't do it. It's plagiarism. It's stealing. This is what he keeps on saying. The angel keeps on saying. But what does the Satan says? Go ahead, use it. No one will know. So what it results into is you are losing your academic integrity or ethics. So when you are avoiding it, it will promote original thinking and creativity. There will be elevation of status. There will be academic integrity or ethics and recognition for your hard work. Plagiarism issues. How to detect plagiarism? What are the issues that basically everyone is facing with respect to plagiarism? One is similarity index. Expert human intervention is required to identify plagiarism. There are no fixed set of standards. It's not ear sensitive and it doesn't support Indian languages. So these are the difficulties that are being faced. Now you have plagiarism detection software. So expert human intervention is required. Now what does these softwares help to? Softwares, what they help you is basically you can put these documents into the software and the software evaluates clearly and it gives reports stating that this is the level of plagiarism or not. So you have online softwares, you also can install softwares. So online plagiarism checker for checking the purity of theses, articles, essays, assignments, website content, etc. Like this, you have plagiarism detection software. Okay, you have Turnitin, which is one of the common ones, but this Turnitin only registered students and researchers can use it. Plagiarism Checker X, which is available in 7 different languages, which is used by top universities and companies. Then comes Grammarly. Grammarly is a grammar checker and also it's a plagiarism detection tool. Now it is available on Mac also. It is free, you have to, but for the higher versions, you need to pay for it. Plagiarism.net, which is a free Google Scholar search tool. Pro Writing 8, plagiarism and grammar error correction, loved by millions of authors and writers. And you have Urkund, which is another alternative to Turnitin. This Urkund is basically available only in institutions. Again, Turnitin is also used by institutions. They are paid, and Authenticate is also one of the options for plagiarism detection software. Okay, but these softwares, Indian universities basically maintains Urkund to detect the plagiarism in research, and it's made available to the various universities in India. Okay, now these are the various tools. The degrees of plagiarism. The color of the report icon indicates the similarity score of that paper, how much it is similar to the various other sources based on the amount of matching or similar text that was uncovered. So the percentage ranges from 0 to 100. What are the different colors we'll see? We have blue color, says no matching text. Green, 1 word to 24% matching text. You have yellow, which is 25 to 49% similarity index. Orange, 50 to 74, and red, which is high level plagiarism, 76 to 100%. Also, there is another color which is gray, which says that no plagiarism report is generated. We move to the levels of plagiarism. Now, this is specific to UGC. UGC has laid down certain regulations with respect to promotion of academic integrity and prevention of plagiarism in higher educational institutions. So it says that these are the levels of plagiarism, where you have plagiarism is level 0, similarity is up to 10%, minor similarity, no penalty. Level 1 similarity is up to 10 to 40%. Level 2 similarity up to 40 to 60%. Level 3 similarity is above 60%. Institutional Academic Integrity Panel has established certain penalties based on the severity of plagiarism in the submission of thesis or dissertations and also in article submissions. We'll go into detail. Level 0, where we said there is no plagiarism less than 10%, no penalty. Level 1, you have to revise the script, which is a thesis or a dissertation, within 6 months. Level 2, you will be debarred from submitting the revised script for a period of 1 year, which means you cannot submit the revised script for a period of 1 year. After 1 year submitted. Level 3, your registration for the PhD program itself will be cancelled. So this is how they punish you in case of thesis or dissertations. What is your punishment in case of academic and research publications? Level 0, minor similarities, no penalty. Level 1, you will be asked to withdraw those manuscripts. Level 2, you will be asked to withdraw the manuscript and you will be denied 1 annual increment and you will not be allowed to be a research supervisor for a span of 2 years. When it comes to level 3, it's the same penalty, withdrawing manuscript, deny 2 annual increment, not allowed to be a research supervisor for 3 years. This is with respect to academic and research publications. The previous one was on to thesis or dissertations. What is the penalty in case you plagiarize? That's it with plagiarism, falsification, fabrication, the various types of scientific misconduct. Very important portion with respect to research and publication ethics. You have to study this deeper. Remember what exactly is the difference between falsification, fabrication, and plagiarism. And try to avoid all these three when you are doing any kind of research work.